I found out my husband had been living a double life for 7 years, on our anniversary. You need to understand something about me first. My name is Sarah, and for 12 years, I was the kind of wife that people pointed to as an example. The kind who packed her husband's lunch every single morning, who rearranged her entire nursing schedule at the hospital to make sure I was home when the kids got off the school bus, who smiled through every missed dinner and every cancelled vacation because Marcus was a cardiac surgeon and his work was important. Saving lives was important. I met Marcus when I was 26, fresh out of nursing school, working my first job in the emergency room. He was a resident then, brilliant and ambitious, with these warm brown eyes that made me feel like I was the only person in the room. We fell in love fast. The kind of love where you stay up all night talking, where you can't imagine your life without the other person in it. We got married 2 years later. I wore my grandmother's veil. His mother cried during the ceremony. Everyone said we were perfect together. And for a while, we were. We had 2 beautiful children. Our son Daniel, who just turned 17, and our daughter Emma, who's 14 and has her father's eyes. I built our home around Marcus's demanding career. When he needed to study for boards, I kept the house quiet. When he needed to attend conferences, I managed everything alone. When he got his dream position at Memorial Hospital, I threw him a surprise party and told everyone how proud I was. I sacrificed my own career advancement, turned down the nurse practitioner program twice because the timing wasn't right, because Marcus needed support during his critical career years, because someone had to put the family first. I thought I was building something beautiful. A partnership. A life. I had no idea I was building a monument to my own stupidity. Before we go any further into this, I just want to say, if you feel a connection to these stories, a small click on that like button and subscribe would mean more to me than you know. It lets me know I am not just speaking into the void, that you are really here with me. Alright, let's continue. The cracks started small. So small I told myself I was imagining things. Marcus started working later. Not just occasionally, but constantly. 3-4 nights a week, he would text me around 6 p.m. saying he had an emergency surgery or a complicated case or a patient consultation that could not wait. I would save his dinner in the fridge, put the kids to bed alone, and fall asleep on the couch waiting for him to come home. When he finally did arrive, usually after midnight, he would kiss my forehead and say he was exhausted. Too exhausted to talk. Too exhausted for anything but sleep. The man who used to pull me into his arms the moment he walked through the door, now barely looked at me. Then there were the phone calls. He started taking his phone everywhere. And I mean everywhere. The bathroom. The garage when he took out the trash. Even on our back patio when he claimed he just needed some fresh air. When it rang during dinner, he would glance at the screen, frown, and say it was the hospital. Every single time. The hospital. I told myself it made sense. He was a cardiac surgeon. People's lives depended on him being available. But somewhere deep in my gut, I knew something was wrong. The real change happened about 6 months ago. Marcus became distant. Like he was physically present but mentally somewhere else entirely. He stopped asking about my day. Stopped noticing when I changed my hair or wore something nice. Stopped seeing me at all. We went from making love twice a week to maybe once a month, and when we did, it felt mechanical. Like he was going through motions, fulfilling an obligation. I tried to talk to him about it once. We were sitting at the kitchen table on a rare Saturday morning when he was not at the hospital. The kids were at their friends' houses. It was just us. I reached across the table and took his hand. "Sarah, we are fine," he said before I could even finish my sentence. "I am just stressed with work. You know how demanding my schedule is." He pulled his hand away and went upstairs to his office. That should have been my sign. But I pushed it down. I told myself every marriage goes through rough patches. That this was normal after 12 years and 2 kids. That I was being paranoid and insecure. I ignored every single red flag, until I could not ignore them anymore. It was a Tuesday. The 14th of March. I will never forget that date. I was at the hospital, finishing up a particularly brutal shift in the ER. We had 3 car accident victims, a heart attack, and a kid who fell off a trampoline and broke both arms. I was exhausted, running on coffee and adrenaline, just wanting to go home and take a hot shower. I walked out to the staff parking lot, my scrub still on, my hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. The late afternoon sun was starting to set, casting everything in this strange orange glow. That is when I saw it. A package sitting on the hood of my car. It was a large manila envelope, the kind you use for mailing documents. No postage. No mailing label. Just my name written across the front in block letters. Sarah Mitchell. My hands were shaking as I picked it up. It was heavy. Stuffed full with something. I looked around the parking lot. Empty. Whoever left this was long gone. I got into my car and locked the doors. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Some instinct, some deep, primal knowing, told me that whatever was inside this envelope was going to change everything. I tore it open. The first thing I pulled out was a photograph. Marcus and a woman I did not recognize, standing in front of a beautiful downtown condo building. His arm was around her waist. She was laughing at something he said. He was looking at her the way he used to look at me. The way he had not looked at me in years. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I pulled out another photo. Marcus and the same woman at a restaurant. A nice restaurant. The kind we had not been to since our 10th anniversary. They were holding hands across the table. The timestamp in the corner said it was from 8 months ago. There were more photos. So many more photos. Marcus kissing this woman in a parking garage. Marcus and this woman on what looked like a weekend trip to the mountains. Marcus and this woman in bed together, intimate photos that made me want to vomit right there in my car. But the photos were just the beginning. There were receipts. Hundreds of them. Jewelry purchases. Romantic dinners. Weekend hotel stays. Flowers delivered to an address I did not recognize. All dated and organized chronologically. Going back 7 years. 7 years. I found credit card statements from an account I never knew existed. Monthly charges to the same address, a condo downtown. Utilities. HOA fees. He was paying for her to live there. There were bank statements showing a separate account with over $80,000 in it. Money I never knew we had. Money he had been hiding. And then, the letters. Handwritten notes in Marcus's distinctive scrawl. My darling Vanessa. I cannot wait until we can finally be together completely. Just a few more years, my love. Once Daniel turns 18, I will have done my duty. Then we can start our real life together. I read that line 3 times before it sank in. He was waiting. Waiting for our son to turn 18 so he could leave with a clear conscience. So he could tell himself he had been a good father, that he had stayed until the kids were old enough. I was not a wife to him. I was an obligation. A placeholder. Someone to manage his home and raise his children while he built a whole other life with someone else. There was one final item in the envelope. A handwritten note on plain white paper. I am sorry to be the one to tell you this. I thought you deserved to know the truth. He has been planning to leave you all along. Do not let him get away with it. The note was unsigned. I sat in that parking lot for 2 hours, going through every piece of evidence. My entire body was numb. I could not cry. Could not scream. Could not feel anything except this vast, hollow emptiness spreading through my chest. 12 years of marriage. 12 years of sacrifice and devotion and putting him first. 12 years of believing we were building something together. And it was all a lie. He had been living a double life, playing husband and father at home while building a future with someone else. Using my love and loyalty as a shield while he did whatever he wanted. The sun had completely set by the time I finally started my car. I drove home on autopilot, my mind spinning with 1,000 thoughts and none at all. Marcus was already home when I pulled into the driveway. I could see him through the kitchen window, helping Emma with her homework at the table, playing the devoted father. I sat in the car for 5 more minutes, staring at that scene. My husband and my daughter. The picture of domestic happiness. I thought about walking in there and confronting him, throwing the photos in his face, screaming about the betrayal and the lies and the 7 years he stole from me. But I did not. Because somewhere between the parking lot and my driveway, something inside me shifted. The devastation turned into something colder, harder. He had been planning this for 7 years, playing the long game. Being strategic and careful and calculated. 2 could play at that game. I wiped my eyes, grabbed the envelope, and hid it in the trunk of my car under the emergency kit where he would never think to look. Then I walked into my house, kissed my daughter on the head, and smiled at my husband. How was your day, honey? I asked, my voice steady and sweet. He barely looked up from Emma's math homework. Long, exhausting. I have another late case tomorrow night. Of course you do, I said. I will save you a plate. And while I stood there in my kitchen, playing the role of devoted wife one more time, I made myself a promise. Marcus thought he was the smart one. The planner. The one in control. He had no idea what was coming. That night, I did not sleep. How could I? My husband was lying next to me, snoring softly like he always did, completely unaware that his entire world was about to collapse. Every time I looked at him, I saw those photographs. Him with her. Kissing her. Holding her. Looking at her with love in his eyes. I stared at the ceiling until dawn, my mind racing with questions I needed answers to. Who was she? How did they meet? How did he hide this for 7 years? And most importantly, what else did I not know? The anonymous note said he had been planning to leave me all along. That meant there was more. There had to be more. And I was going to find every single piece of it. Marcus left for the hospital at 6:30 a.m., same as always. He kissed me on the forehead, told me he loved me, and walked out the door like he had done 1,000 times before. Liar. The moment his car pulled out of the driveway, I was up. The kids would not be awake for another hour. I had time. I went straight to his office. Marcus was meticulous about his space. Everything had its place. His desk was always organized, his files color-coded, his passwords written in a small leather notebook he kept in the top drawer because he could never remember them all. I had never snooped before. Never felt the need to. I trusted him completely. What a fool I had been. I opened his laptop and waited for it to boot up. My hands were shaking but my mind was crystal clear. The password notebook was exactly where it always was. I flipped through until I found what I needed. His email password. His bank login. Everything. I started with email. There were thousands of messages. Work correspondence mostly, patient consultations, medical journals. I scrolled back through months of mundane professional exchanges until I found a separate folder. One he thought was hidden. Labeled only with the letter V. Vanessa. I clicked it open and my stomach dropped. Hundreds of emails. Going back 7 years. Starting casual and professional, then slowly shifting into something more. Flirtatious. Intimate. Loving. I forced myself to read them. Every single one. The early ones made me sick. Marcus complaining about his marriage, about how I did not understand the pressure he was under, about how he felt trapped. Vanessa being sympathetic, supportive, telling him he deserved better. She worked for a pharmaceutical company. That is how they met. She was a sales representative who called on his practice, pitching new cardiac medications. Professional meetings that turned into coffee. Coffee that turned into lunch. Lunch that turned into so much more. By the 6th month, they were sleeping together. By the 1st year, he told her he loved her. By the 2nd year, he bought her that condo. I kept reading, my vision blurring with tears I refused to let fall. There were emails about their trips together. Weekends he told me he was at medical conferences. Nights he said he had emergency surgeries. All lies. But it was the recent emails that destroyed me completely. An exchange from 3 months ago. Vanessa asking when they could finally be together. Really together. She was tired of hiding. Tired of being the secret. Marcus's response made me want to scream. Soon, my love. Danielle turns 18 next March. I have thought this through carefully. I will have fulfilled my obligation as a father. The kids will be old enough to understand. Sarah will be fine. She is strong. She will move on. We just need to be patient a little while longer. Then we can finally start our real life together. Our real life. As if the 12 years we spent together were fake. As if our children, our home, our entire marriage was just some obligation he needed to suffer through before he could have what he really wanted. I was not his wife. I was a checkbox on his list. Stay married until kids are grown. Check. Then leave guilt-free. I printed every single email. All of them. Then I deleted them from the trash folder so he would not know I had been there. Next, I opened his bank accounts. There were 3 I knew about. Our joint checking. Our joint savings. And his personal account for work expenses. But hidden in his bookmarks was a 4th account. One I never knew existed. I clicked on it and felt my blood turn to ice. $83,000. He had been siphoning money from our joint accounts for years. Small amounts. 500 here. 1,000 there. Nothing large enough for me to notice. But over 7 years, it added up. This was his escape fund. Money he was hiding so that when he left me, he would have a financial cushion. Money that was supposed to be ours, for our family, for our future. He had been stealing from me while I worked double shifts at the hospital to help pay for the kids' private school tuition. I took screenshots of everything. Every transaction. Every transfer. I saved them all to a flash drive I found in his desk drawer. Then I searched for the condo address. The one that kept appearing on his credit card statements. 1217 Riverside Avenue. Unit 42. I pulled it up on a real estate website. A luxury 2-bedroom condo in the nicest part of downtown. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Granite countertops. A view of the river. Current estimated value, $475,000. He bought it 6 years ago. Put it in his name only. Paid cash using money from an account I did not even know we had. Money that came from where? His inheritance when his father died? Money he told me we were investing for the kids' college funds? I kept digging through his files. Bank records. Tax returns. Investment statements. That is when I found it. The real betrayal beneath the betrayal. 2 years ago, Marcus's father passed away and left him a substantial inheritance. $1.2 million. He told me we got $300,000. That we needed to be smart with it. That we would invest it for retirement and the kids' education. I believed him. Of course I believed him. Why would my husband lie to me about something like that? He lied about all of it. He took the entire $1.2 million and hid it. Some of it went into that secret account. Some went to buying Vanessa's condo. The rest he invested in accounts with only his name on them. While I was clipping coupons and shopping sales and taking extra shifts to help make ends meet, he was sitting on over $1 million. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw his laptop across the room. I wanted to drive to that hospital and confront him in front of everyone. But I did not. Because I was beginning to understand something important. Marcus had been playing chess while I was playing checkers. He had been strategic, careful, planning every move years in advance. If I confronted him now, in anger, without a plan, he would spin it. He would make excuses. He would promise to change. He might even convince me to stay and work it out, like the fool I had been for 12 years. No. I needed to be smarter than that. I needed to think like he did, coldly, strategically. I needed to build my case so thoroughly that he could not talk his way out of it, could not manipulate me, could not win. I spent the next 2 weeks becoming someone I never thought I would be. A spy in my own home. I tracked his phone using the family tracking app we had installed years ago for safety. I watched as he drove to that Riverside Avenue address 3, sometimes 4 times a week, staying for hours. I followed him once. Sat in my car across the street and watched him walk into that building, a bottle of wine in one hand, a bag from her favorite restaurant in the other. I watched the lights turn on in Unit 42. I sat there for 3 hours until they turned off again. I went home and served him the dinner I had kept warm in the oven. "How was your day, honey?" I asked. "Exhausting," he said. "Back-to-back surgeries. I barely had time to breathe." Liar. I called the hospital the next day and verified his surgery schedule. He had finished his last case at 2 p.m. The rest of the afternoon was marked as administrative time. He had not been at the hospital until 9 p.m. like he claimed. He had been with her. I documented everything. Every lie. Every discrepancy. Every moment he claimed to be at work when he was actually with Vanessa. I went through our credit card statements going back 7 years. I highlighted every suspicious charge. Jewelry I never received. Dinners at restaurants we never went to. Hotel rooms during medical conferences that his hospital schedule showed he never attended. I built a timeline. A massive, detailed timeline that showed exactly when the affair started, how it progressed, and how he had been planning his exit strategy. But I needed more than evidence of the affair. I needed leverage. That is when I remembered something. Marcus worked at a major teaching hospital with strict ethics policies. Especially regarding relationships with pharmaceutical representatives. It was considered a conflict of interest. A violation of professional conduct. Something that could cost a doctor their position, their reputation, their career. I started researching. I pulled up the hospital's code of conduct. Read through every policy regarding vendor relationships and conflicts of interest. There it was. Section 7, subsection C. Physicians are prohibited from engaging in romantic or intimate relationships with pharmaceutical representatives or vendor employees due to the inherent conflict of interest and potential for compromised patient care decisions. Violation of this policy could result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. Marcus had not just been cheating on me. He had been violating hospital policy for 7 years. Writing prescriptions for medications that Vanessa's company produced. Recommending devices her company sold. All while sleeping with her. I had him. But I still was not ready to move. Not yet. Because I realized something else. If I wanted to truly destroy what he had built on lies, I needed to do it in a way he would never see coming. I needed to hit him everywhere at once. His marriage. His career. His reputation. His money. Everything. And I needed witnesses. I thought about his family. His mother who adored him. His father who had been so proud when Marcus became a surgeon. His younger sister who looked up to him like he was some kind of hero. They all thought he was perfect. The golden child. The successful doctor. The devoted family man. They had no idea who he really was. His mother was planning a party for our 15th wedding anniversary. She had called me 2 months ago, so excited, wanting to host a big celebration at her home. Both families together. A surprise for Marcus. I told her it was a wonderful idea. Because I had just figured out exactly when and where I would burn his life to the ground. I started preparing. I took the hundreds of photos, emails, receipts, and bank statements and organized them chronologically. I created a presentation. A slideshow. The kind you might show at an anniversary party to celebrate a couple's journey together. Except this one would tell the truth. I consulted with a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. The most ruthless divorce attorney in the city. A woman named Patricia Chen who had a reputation for destroying cheating spouses in court. I walked into her office with my flash drive and my timeline. I laid it all out. She looked at me with something like respect in her eyes. "You have done my job for me," she said. "With this evidence, we can bury him." We spent 3 hours going over strategy. She explained how fault divorces work, how judges view financial deception and hidden assets, how I could claim not just half of everything, but potentially much more because of his deception. She filed the paperwork, but we agreed not to serve him yet. We would wait until after the party. After the reveal. When he was at his most vulnerable and destroyed. I also started quietly moving money. Not a lot. Just enough that if he tried to drain our accounts or hide more assets, I would have something to fall back on. I opened a new account at a different bank under my maiden name. I transferred small amounts every few days. My paychecks went directly into this new account instead of our joint one. Marcus never noticed. He was too busy with his double life to pay attention to what I was doing. I also did something I never thought I would do. I started befriending the wives of the other doctors at the hospital, joining them for book club, having coffee, making small talk about hospital politics and gossip. I casually mentioned the ethics policies once. How important they were. How a doctor at another hospital had lost his position because of an inappropriate relationship with a pharmaceutical rep. One of the women, the wife of a hospital board member, got very serious. "That would never be tolerated at Memorial," she said. "Our board takes those violations extremely seriously." "I know," I said, sipping my coffee. "It is good to know the hospital has such strong standards." I was planting seeds. Laying groundwork. Making sure that when the truth came out, the right people would be paying attention. At home, I played my role perfectly. I was the devoted wife. I smiled. I cooked his favorite meals. I even initiated intimacy a few times, as much as it made my skin crawl, because I needed him to suspect nothing. He was so relieved that I seemed happy again, so pleased that whatever distance had been between us seemed to be closing. Poor Marcus. He thought everything was fine. He thought he had gotten away with it. He thought he was so clever, managing 2 lives without either of us knowing about the other. He had no idea that I knew everything, that I had documented everything, that I was 10 steps ahead of him. Our anniversary was 3 weeks away. His mother had the party planned. The invitations were sent. Both families would be there. His colleagues. Our friends. Everyone who thought we were the perfect couple. I confirmed with the venue. I told his mother I wanted to put together a special slideshow as a surprise for Marcus. A journey through our 15 years together. She thought it was the sweetest idea. I spent hours perfecting it. The first few slides were real memories. Our wedding. The kids being born. Family vacations. All of it set to soft, romantic music. Then, slowly, the tone would shift. The timestamps would start appearing. The receipts would start showing. The photos of him with her would start playing. By the end, everyone in that room would know exactly who Marcus really was. I practiced my speech. The one I would give right after the slideshow ended. I practiced keeping my voice steady, my head high, my dignity intact. I would not cry. I would not scream. I would simply tell the truth and walk away. Let him deal with the aftermath. Let him explain to his mother why he threw away his family. Let him explain to his colleagues why he violated ethics policies. Let him explain to our children why he planned to abandon them the moment it was convenient. 3 weeks until the party. 3 weeks until Marcus learned that the quiet, devoted wife he took for granted was about to destroy everything he built on lies. He still had no idea. But soon, very soon, he would. Patricia Chen's office was on the 42nd floor of a glass tower downtown. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Expensive art on the walls. Everything about her screamed power and control. I sat across from her, my flash drive on the table between us, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. "You have one of the strongest cases I have seen in 20 years, Patricia said, leaning back in her leather chair. Financial deception. Hidden assets. A 7-year affair with documented evidence. And the ethics violation with the pharmaceutical representative, that is the nuclear option." She smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of a predator who had just spotted wounded prey. "Here's what we are going to do," she continued. "First, we secure your assets. You have already started moving money, which is smart. But we need to be more aggressive. I need you to document every single penny in those joint accounts. Every investment. Every retirement fund. Everything." I nodded, taking notes. "Second, we file for divorce, but we do not serve him until after your anniversary party. You said his family will be there? His colleagues?" "Yes," I said. "His mother is hosting. Both families. Some of his co-workers from the hospital. Maybe 40 people total." "Perfect. The public humiliation will work in our favor. It establishes a timeline. It shows you discovered the affair and immediately took action. It makes you the victim and him the villain in the eyes of everyone who matters." She pulled out a legal pad and started writing. "Third, we go after everything. In this state, infidelity is grounds for an at-fault divorce. That means the division of assets can be heavily weighted in your favor. We are not asking for 50%. We are asking for 70, maybe 75% of everything. Can we actually get that?" I asked. "With your evidence?" "Absolutely. He hid money. He lied about his inheritance. He purchased property without your knowledge using marital funds. Any judge will see this as financial abuse and deception. Plus, you sacrificed your career advancement to support his. That counts." She looked at me directly, her eyes sharp. "But here is the thing, Sarah. Once we start this, there is no going back. He will fight. He will hire his own attorney. He will try to paint you as vindictive or unstable. Are you prepared for that?" I thought about the 7 years of lies. The emails planning his exit. The way he looked at Vanessa in those photos. The way he stopped looking at me. "I am prepared," I said. "Good. Then let us destroy him." Over the next 2 weeks, I became someone I barely recognized. Cold. Calculating. Strategic. Every morning, Marcus would leave for work and I would go into his office. I photographed every document, every statement, every piece of paper that might be relevant. I found more hidden accounts. Smaller ones. Money tucked away in places he thought I would never look. Investment accounts with only his name. A savings account at a credit union across town. I documented all of it. I also started tracking his patterns more carefully. He went to Vanessa's condo every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evening. He told me those were his late surgery nights. I verified with the hospital that he had no surgeries scheduled on those evenings. Just administrative time or patient consultations that could have been done during regular hours. More lies to document. But I needed something else. Something that would hit him where it really hurt. His career. His reputation. The image he had built as this brilliant, ethical surgeon. That is when I remembered Susan. Susan was married to Dr. Richard Brennan, who sat on the hospital's board of directors. I had been having coffee with her for 2 weeks now, carefully building a friendship. She was kind. Genuine. The type of person who believed in doing the right thing. We met at a coffee shop near the hospital. She was already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table with 2 lattes waiting. "Sarah, so good to see you," she said warmly. "How have you been?" "I have been, okay," I said, sitting down. "Actually, Susan, I need to talk to you about something. Something serious." Her expression changed immediately. "Of course. What is it?" I took a breath, preparing the performance I had rehearsed a dozen times. "I think there might be something going on at the hospital that violates ethics policies," I said carefully. "I am not entirely sure, but I think one of the doctors might be in a relationship with a pharmaceutical representative." Her eyes widened. "Are you certain?" "Not 100%, I said. "But I have noticed some things. Unusual behavior. Meetings that seem inappropriate. I know how seriously the hospital takes these policies, and I thought someone should know." I pulled out my phone and showed her one of the photos. Marcus and Vanessa at a restaurant. Nothing too intimate, but clearly more than professional. I accidentally saw this, I lied. And it made me wonder if there was more going on. Susan stared at the photo for a long moment. Then she looked up at me, her expression grave. Sarah, is this Marcus? I let my eyes fill with tears. Real ones this time. I nodded. I think my husband has been having an affair with a pharmaceutical rep from Davidson Medical Solutions, I whispered. And I think it has been going on for a long time. I am worried about what it means. For the hospital, for his patients, for everything. Susan reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Oh honey, I am so sorry. This must be devastating for you. I just do not know what to do, I said. I do not want to cause problems at his work. But if there is an ethics violation, if patient care is being compromised. You did the right thing by telling me, Susan said firmly. Richard needs to know about this. The board needs to know. If there is a conflict of interest happening, it has to be investigated. I nodded, wiping my eyes. I just want to do what is right. We sat there for another 30 minutes while I told her carefully edited pieces of the story. Enough to plant concern. Enough to ensure that when everything came out at the anniversary party, the hospital would already be primed to investigate. By the time I left that coffee shop, I knew the seed was planted. Richard Brennan would be watching Marcus closely. And the moment the affair became public knowledge, the hospital would have no choice but to launch a formal ethics investigation. At home, I continued playing the perfect wife. It was easier now that I had a plan. Easier to smile and cook dinner and pretend everything was fine when I knew exactly how it would all end. Marcus seemed happier. More relaxed. He probably thought whatever distance had been between us was finally closing. One evening, about 10 days before the anniversary party, he came home early. Actually early, not fake early. He walked into the kitchen where I was making dinner and wrapped his arms around me from behind. I have been thinking, he said, his chin on my shoulder. Maybe we should take a vacation this summer. Just the two of us. The kids are old enough to stay with my mom for a week. We could go somewhere tropical. Reconnect. I wanted to laugh. Or scream. Or turn around and tell him I knew everything. Instead, I leaned back into him and smiled. That sounds wonderful, I said. Where were you thinking? Maybe the Caribbean? He kissed my neck. Somewhere with beaches and fruity drinks and no hospitals. I would love that, I lied. He held me for a moment longer, then pulled away to check his phone. A text had come through. I saw him glance at it, then quickly swipe it away. Everything okay? I asked innocently. Yeah, just the hospital, he said. I might have to go in for a bit tonight. Emergency consult. Of course, I said. I will save you a plate. He kissed my forehead and disappeared upstairs to change. I checked the family tracking app on my phone. 30 minutes later, his car was heading toward Riverside Avenue. Not the hospital. I added it to my documentation. Another lie. Another piece of evidence. The anniversary party was now 1 week away. Patricia had the divorce papers ready, but we agreed not to file until the day of the party. Not to serve him until after the reveal. We wanted the emotional devastation and the legal action to hit simultaneously. No time for him to prepare. No time for him to move money or hide assets or build a defense. Total annihilation in one coordinated strike. I finalized the slideshow. It was perfect. Set to music that would start sweet and romantic, then slowly shift to something more ominous as the truth unfolded. The first slide showed our wedding. Young and in love, full of hope. Then our children being born. Family photos. Holidays. Everything we were supposed to be. Then the timestamps would start appearing. Small at first. Easy to miss. But growing more obvious. Receipts for jewelry I never received. Restaurant bills from places we never went together. Hotel charges during medical conferences that his hospital schedule showed he never attended. Then the photos would start. Marcus and Vanessa. At first, innocent looking. Could be colleagues. Could be professional. But then more intimate. Holding hands. Kissing. Embracing. And finally, the emails. Projected on the screen for everyone to read. His words about waiting until Daniel turned 18. About fulfilling his obligation. About finally starting his real life with Vanessa. The slideshow would end with a final slide. Simple white text on a black background. 15 years of marriage. 7 years of lies. One final truth. I practiced my speech one more time. Standing in front of my bedroom mirror while Marcus was at work, I rehearsed the words I would say after the slideshow ended. I kept it short. Dignified. Devastating. Thank you all for coming to celebrate what I thought was 15 years of marriage. As you have just seen, my husband has been living a double life for 7 years. He has been having an affair with a pharmaceutical representative named Vanessa Chen from Davidson Medical Solutions. He bought her a condo. He hid money from our family. He planned to leave me the moment our son turned 18, so he could start what he calls his real life with her. I filed for divorce this morning. I hope you all understand why I am leaving now. Short, clean, devastating. Then I would walk out and let chaos unfold behind me. I also prepared for the aftermath. I opened a new credit card in just my name. I secured a safety deposit box at a bank Marcus did not use and put copies of all my evidence inside. I spoke with the kids' school and made sure I was listed as the primary contact for emergencies. I was not just planning to leave Marcus. I was planning to ensure he could not touch me or the kids financially or legally. Patricia called me 3 days before the party. Everything is in order, she said. The divorce papers are ready. I will have them filed the morning of the party. He will be served 48 hours later, once the dust has settled. By then, you will already be staying somewhere else with the kids. Where should I go? I asked. Do you have family? My sister lives an hour away. She does not know what is happening yet, but she will take us in. Tell her, Patricia said. You are going to need support. And make sure Marcus does not know where you are staying. He is going to be angry, humiliated, desperate. I do not want him showing up and making things worse. I called my sister that night. Lauren. She was 3 years younger than me, married with no kids, living in a small town outside the city. I need to tell you something, I said when she answered. And I need you to promise not to tell anyone until after this weekend. Sarah, you are scaring me. What is going on? I told her everything. The affair. The hidden money. The plan for the anniversary party. She was silent for a long moment after I finished. Then she said, You are stronger than I ever gave you credit for. Come stay with us as long as you need. I will make up the guest rooms. The kids can stay too. Thank you, I whispered. 2 days before the party, I started packing. Not obviously. Just small things. Important documents. Photo albums. Sentimental items I did not want to leave behind. I put everything in boxes and loaded them into my car trunk when Marcus was at work. I withdrew $5,000 in cash from one of our joint accounts. Not enough for him to notice immediately, but enough for me to survive on for a few weeks if I needed to. I felt like a ghost haunting my own life, walking through rooms I had lived in for 12 years, knowing I would never return. Looking at Marcus across the dinner table, knowing these were our final days together. He still had no idea. The night before the party, Marcus came home with flowers. Roses. A dozen red roses. For you, he said, handing them to me with a smile. I know I have been distracted lately with work. I just wanted you to know how much I appreciate everything you do for our family. I took the flowers and smiled. They are beautiful. Thank you. I put them in a vase on the kitchen counter. After he went upstairs, I pulled out my phone and checked his credit card statement. He had bought 2 dozen roses that day. 1 dozen for me. 1 dozen delivered to an address on Riverside Avenue. Even his gestures were split between 2 lives. I laughed. Actually laughed. It was either that or scream. Tomorrow, I thought. Tomorrow everyone will know. That night, I lay awake next to Marcus for the last time. He was sleeping peacefully, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit. I thought about the woman I was 2 weeks ago. Devastated. Betrayed. Heartbroken. I was still all those things. But I was also something else now. Dangerous. Marcus had been playing chess with my life for 7 years. Moving pieces. Making calculated moves. Thinking he was so clever. But he made one critical mistake. He underestimated me. Tomorrow, at the anniversary party his mother planned with so much love, in front of everyone who mattered to him, I was going to reveal exactly who Marcus Mitchell really was. And then I was going to watch his entire world collapse. Checkmate. The morning of the party, I woke up before dawn. Marcus was still sleeping, his back turned to me, completely peaceful. I stared at him for a long moment, memorizing this version of my life before I destroyed it forever. In 6 hours, everything would change. I got up quietly and went downstairs. Made coffee. Sat at the kitchen table in the dark, my hands wrapped around the warm mug, trying to steady my nerves. Patricia had texted me at midnight. The divorce papers were filed. Everything was in motion. There was no turning back now. Not that I wanted to turn back. My phone buzzed. A text from Lauren. You can do this. We are ready for you whenever you need us. Love you. I typed back a simple thank you and set the phone down. Marcus came downstairs an hour later, already dressed in the nice slacks and button-down shirt I had laid out for him the night before. He looked handsome. Put together. Like the perfect husband getting ready for his anniversary celebration. Big day, he said, pouring himself coffee. Mom has been planning this for months. I think she invited half the hospital. She is excited, I said, my voice calm. It means a lot to her. He came over and kissed the top of my head. It means a lot to me too. 15 years. We have built something pretty great, have we not? I looked up at him. Right in the eyes. Yes, I said. We certainly have built something. He smiled, completely missing the edge in my voice, and went upstairs to finish getting ready. I showered and dressed carefully. A simple navy dress. Elegant but not too formal. I wanted to look strong. Composed. Not like a woman falling apart. I did my makeup with steady hands. Curled my hair. Put on the pearl earrings Marcus had given me for our 10th anniversary. The irony was not lost on me. The kids came downstairs around 9. Daniel, almost 18, tall and serious like his father. Emma, 14, still young enough to be excited about a party. Do we have to go? Daniel asked, grabbing cereal from the pantry. I have homework. Yes, you have to go, I said. It is important to your grandmother. He shrugged and poured his cereal. I looked at my children and felt my resolve waver for just a moment. They had no idea what was about to happen. No idea that their world was about to shatter along with mine. But they deserved to know the truth. They deserved to know what kind of man their father really was. The party started at 2 p.m. Marcus's mother lived in a beautiful home in the suburbs with a large backyard perfect for entertaining. She had set up tables with white linens, hired caterers, hung string lights everywhere. It looked like a fairy tale. We arrived at 1:30. His mother, Barbara, greeted us at the door with tears already forming in her eyes. My baby boy, she said, hugging Marcus tight. 15 years. I am so proud of you both. Thanks, Mom, Marcus said, hugging her back. Everything looks amazing. She turned to me and pulled me into an embrace. Sarah, darling, you look beautiful. I am so happy we could all be here together to celebrate your love. I hugged her back, feeling guilt twist in my stomach. Barbara was a kind woman. She did not deserve what was about to happen. But she needed to know the truth about her son. I brought the slideshow, I told her, holding up a USB drive, for the presentation later. Oh wonderful, she said, beaming. Everyone is going to love it. We will play it right before we cut the cake. Perfect, I said. The guests started arriving. Marcus's sister Jennifer with her husband, his colleagues from the hospital, our neighbors, friends we had known for years. My own family arrived. My mother. My sister Lauren, who caught my eye across the yard and gave me a small, supportive nod. Everyone was smiling, laughing, celebrating what they thought was a beautiful marriage. I played my part perfectly. I stood next to Marcus, smiling for photos, accepting congratulations, pretending everything was exactly as it seemed. Marcus kept his arm around my waist, playing the devoted husband. At one point, he leaned down and whispered, "Thank you for putting up with me for 15 years. It has been quite a journey," I said. He kissed my temple and went to talk to his colleagues. I watched him work the crowd, shaking hands, telling jokes, being charming and charismatic. Dr. Marcus Mitchell, the brilliant cardiac surgeon, the family man, the golden child. Everyone adored him. Not for much longer. Around 3 p.m., Barbara called everyone to gather. The caterers had set up a small stage area with a projector and screen. The anniversary cake, 3 tiers of elegant white frosting, sat on a table nearby. "Everyone, please, can I have your attention?" Barbara said, her voice filled with emotion. "Richard and I are so blessed to have all of you here today to celebrate Marcus and Sarah. 15 years of marriage is a beautiful milestone, and we could not be prouder of the life they have built together." She looked at Marcus with such love, such pride. "Sarah has put together a special presentation," Barbara continued. "A journey through their 15 years together. So please, everyone gather around." The crowd moved closer. Marcus stood next to me, his hand finding mine. He squeezed it gently. "This is sweet," he whispered. "You did not have to do this." "I wanted to," I said. Barbara dimmed the lights. I handed the USB drive to Marcus's cousin Tom, who was operating the projector. "Here we go," Tom said, plugging it in. The screen lit up. Soft piano music began to play. The first slide appeared. Our wedding photo. Marcus and I, young and hopeful, kissing outside the church. The crowd made appreciative sounds. Ah. So beautiful. Look how young they were. More slides. The progression of our life together. Our first apartment. Vacations. Holidays with family. Then Daniel being born. Tiny and red-faced in my arms while Marcus stood beside the hospital bed, looking proud. Then Emma. Our family complete. The music continued, sweet and nostalgic. The crowd was smiling, enjoying the trip down memory lane. Marcus squeezed my hand again. This is really nice, he whispered. Just wait, I said quietly. The slides continued. Birthday parties. School events. Normal family life. And then, the shift. The music changed. Subtly at first. The sweet piano melody began to take on a minor key. Something slightly off. A slide appeared showing a restaurant receipt. Timestamp visible in the corner. The name of an expensive steakhouse downtown. Marcus's smile faltered slightly. He leaned forward, squinting at the screen. The next slide. Another receipt. Jewelry from Tiffany. $4,000. Date stamp 3 years ago. I never received jewelry from Tiffany. The crowd was getting quiet now. Confused. The tone had shifted from celebration to something else. Another slide. A hotel bill. The Riverside Luxury Suites. Weekend stay. Date stamped 2 years ago. Marcus was not breathing next to me. His hand went rigid in mine. Sarah, what is this? He whispered. I did not answer. The next slide was a photo. Marcus and a woman I did not recognize to most of the crowd, but that I knew very well. Vanessa. Standing outside a beautiful condo building. His arm around her waist. Both of them smiling. The crowd gasped. Marcus tried to pull his hand away from mine, but I held on tight. You are going to want to see the rest, I said quietly. The photos continued. Marcus and Vanessa at restaurants. On weekend trips. At the beach. Kissing in a parking garage. Each slide had timestamps. Going back years. The crowd was completely silent now except for a few shocked whispers. Barbara was staring at the screen, her hand over her mouth. Then came the bank statements. Showing the secret account. The $83,000. The transfers from our joint account to his hidden one. The condo purchase documents. $475,000. Property deed with only Marcus's name. The emails started appearing on screen. Large enough for everyone to read. My darling Vanessa. I cannot wait until we can finally be together completely. Just a few more years, my love. Once Daniel turns 18, I will have fulfilled my obligation. Sarah will be fine. She is strong. She will move on. Then we can start our real life together. Someone in the crowd made a strangled sound. I think it was Barbara. Marcus was trying to move toward the projector. Stop this, he hissed. Sarah, stop this right now. But Tom, operating the projector, just stared at Marcus with disgust and did not move. The final slide appeared. White text on black background. 15 years of marriage. 7 years of lies. One final truth. The music stopped. The silence was deafening. I let go of Marcus's hand and stepped forward, facing the crowd. My voice was steady, calm. I had practiced this. Thank you all for coming to celebrate what I thought was 15 years of marriage, I said. As you have just seen, my husband has been living a double life for 7 years. He has been having an affair with a pharmaceutical representative named Vanessa Chen from Davidson Medical Solutions. He bought her a condo using money he hid from our family. He has been planning to leave me the moment our son turned 18 so he could start what he calls his real life with her. I paused, looking directly at Barbara, whose face was streaked with tears. I filed for divorce this morning. I hope you all understand why I am leaving now. I turned and walked toward the house. Behind me, chaos erupted. Barbara was sobbing. Marcus was trying to explain, his voice rising in panic. His colleagues were backing away, their faces filled with shock and disgust. Sarah, wait, Marcus shouted, running after me. Sarah, please, let me explain. I stopped at the edge of the patio and turned to face him. The entire party was watching us now. Explain what, Marcus? I said, my voice carrying across the yard. Explain how you have been stealing from our family for 7 years? Explain how you planned our entire marriage as a temporary inconvenience? Explain how you were just counting down the days until you could leave? He reached for me but I stepped back. It is not like that, he stammered. You do not understand. I understand perfectly, I said. You are a liar. A cheat. And a coward. Susan Brennan, the doctor's wife I had befriended, stepped forward from the crowd. Her face was grave. Marcus, is it true? About the pharmaceutical representative? That is a serious ethics violation. Marcus turned to her, his face pale. Susan, this is a private matter. No, Susan said firmly. If you have been in a relationship with a vendor representative while prescribing their products, that is very much a public matter. Richard will need to be informed. The board will need to be informed. Marcus looked around wildly, seeing his career crumbling along with his marriage. His sister Jennifer was crying. How could you do this? She said. How could you do this to Sarah? To your children? Daniel and Emma stood frozen near the cake table. Daniel's face was hard, angry. Emma was crying. I walked over to my children. We are leaving, I said gently. Get your things. Mom, what is happening? Emma whispered. I will explain everything, I promised. But right now we need to go. Lauren appeared at my side, car keys in hand. I am driving you, she said. Mom will follow with the kids. Marcus tried to approach us but Lauren stepped between us. You stay away from her, Lauren said fiercely. You have done enough. Sarah, please, Marcus said, his voice breaking. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I will end things with Vanessa. I will do whatever you want. I looked at him. Really looked at him. The man I had loved for 15 years. The man I had built my entire life around. He looked small now. Pathetic. You had 7 years to do the right thing, I said quietly. 7 years to be honest. 7 years to choose us. You chose her. Every single day, you chose her. Now you get to live with that choice. I turned away from him and walked toward Lauren's car. Behind me, I could hear Marcus calling my name. Begging. But his voice was drowned out by the voices of everyone else. Barbara demanding answers. Jennifer calling him a disgrace. His colleagues discussing the ethics investigation that would surely follow. Susan already on the phone with her husband Richard, no doubt reporting what she had just witnessed. I got into Lauren's car. Through the window, I could see Marcus standing alone in the middle of his mother's beautiful backyard, surrounded by people who now knew exactly what he was. The perfect life he had built on lies, destroyed in 15 minutes. Lauren started the car. You okay? She asked. I nodded, unable to speak. I was not okay. I would not be okay for a long time. But I was free. As we drove away, I looked back one last time. The party was over. Guests were leaving in shocked silence. The anniversary cake sat untouched on the table. Barbara was still crying, being comforted by Jennifer. And Marcus stood alone, watching my car disappear down the street, finally understanding what he had lost. Everything. The first 3 days at Lauren's house, I barely left the guest room. I did not cry. I thought I would, but the tears would not come. I just felt empty, hollowed out. Like everything that made me Sarah had been scooped out and discarded. Lauren brought me food I did not eat. Tea I let go cold. She sat on the edge of the bed sometimes, not saying anything, just being there. The kids stayed in the room next door. I could hear Emma crying at night through the thin walls. Daniel was silent, which somehow felt worse. On the 4th day, Lauren came in and opened the curtains. Sunlight flooded the room and I flinched. Enough, she said firmly. You did not burn down your life just to waste away in my guest room. Get up. Shower. We are going to deal with this. I do not know how to deal with this, I whispered. Yes you do, she said. You have been dealing with it for weeks. You planned everything perfectly. Now you finish it. She was right. I got up, showered for the first time in days, got dressed, pulled my hair back. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked older, harder, but also, stronger somehow. Patricia called that afternoon. Marcus has been served, she said. He tried to contact you 47 times yesterday. Calls, texts, emails. I assume you have been ignoring them? I blocked his number, I said. Good. Keep it that way. He is going to try everything to manipulate you back. Do not engage. All communication goes through me now. She paused. You should also know, the hospital launched a formal investigation. Susan Brennan's husband brought it to the board the day after your party. Marcus has been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome. How long will the investigation take? Weeks, maybe months. But with the evidence of his relationship with the pharmaceutical rep, and the fact that he prescribed medications her company produces, they have enough to terminate him. It is just a matter of procedure now. I felt a flicker of something. Not quite satisfaction. Not quite relief, but something close. What about the divorce? I asked. He wants to negotiate. Wants to avoid going to court. His attorney reached out yesterday with a settlement offer. And? It is garbage, Patricia said bluntly. He is offering you 50-50 split of known assets and claims the condo does not count as marital property because he purchased it with inheritance money. He is also claiming he needs spousal support because he is about to lose his job. I laughed. Actually laughed. It was a bitter, harsh sound. He wants me to pay him? His attorney is trying every angle, Patricia said. But we have documentation of everything. The hidden accounts. The lies about the inheritance. The affair. We are going to court, and we are going to win. How long? Could be 6 months. Could be a year. These things take time. But Sarah, you need to prepare yourself. It is going to get ugly. He is going to try to destroy you to save himself. Let him try, I said. After I hung up, I sat down with Daniel and Emma. They deserved the truth. All of it. We gathered in Lauren's living room. Daniel sat stiffly on the couch, his jaw tight. Emma curled up next to me, her eyes still red from crying. I need to explain what happened, I said. And I need you both to know that none of this is your fault. I told them everything. The affair. The hidden money. The emails about waiting until Daniel turned 18. The 7 years of lies. Emma cried quietly against my shoulder. Daniel just stared at the floor, his fists clenched. When I finished, there was a long silence. Then Daniel spoke, his voice cold. He was just waiting for me to turn 18? Like I was some deadline? Yes, I said quietly. He stood up abruptly. I do not want to see him. I do not want to talk to him. He does not get to be my father anymore. Daniel. No, Mom. He threw us away. He threw you away. For what? Some woman he was sleeping with? I reached for his hand but he pulled away. I need to be alone, he said, and walked out. Emma looked up at me with tear-filled eyes. Are you going to be okay, Mom? I hugged her tight. Yes, baby. We are all going to be okay. It is going to take time, but we will get through this. She nodded against my chest. I hate him for hurting you. I know, I whispered. I know. The divorce proceedings dragged on for months. Marcus fought me on everything. Every asset. Every account. Every piece of property. His attorney tried to paint me as vindictive and unstable. Claimed I embarrassed him publicly out of spite. Claimed I was alienating the children from their father. But Patricia was relentless. She presented the emails. The photos. The bank statements. The timeline of lies. She called witnesses, people from the anniversary party who testified to what they saw. She even got a statement from Vanessa, who apparently left Marcus 3 weeks after the party when she realized he had no money and no job and a destroyed reputation. The hospital terminated Marcus 6 weeks after the investigation began. They found he had violated ethics policies by maintaining a romantic relationship with a pharmaceutical representative while prescribing her company's products. They also discovered he had been accepting gifts and incentives from the company, dinners, trips, cash bonuses. It was worse than anyone thought. His medical license was suspended pending further review by the state board. He could not practice medicine. Could not work. Everything he built his identity around, gone. He tried to reach out to the kids multiple times. Daniel refused every call. Emma talked to him once, then came to me crying and said she did not want to do it again. He sent me letters. Long, rambling letters about how sorry he was, how he never meant for any of this to happen, how he still loved me and wanted to fix our family. I threw them away without reading past the first line. 8 months after I filed for divorce, we finally went to trial. I sat across from Marcus in the courtroom and barely recognized him. He had lost weight. His hair was graying. He looked exhausted and defeated. Good. Patricia presented our case methodically. Every lie. Every hidden asset. Every email planning his exit strategy. Marcus's attorney tried to argue that the affair was a symptom of a broken marriage, not the cause. That I had been distant and unsupportive. That Marcus had felt neglected. Patricia destroyed that argument in minutes. She presented testimony from my colleagues at the hospital about the extra shifts I worked to support the family. She showed evidence of the nurse practitioner program I turned down twice to support Marcus's career. She proved that I had sacrificed everything for a marriage Marcus was actively planning to leave. The judge was a woman in her 60s named Margaret Holloway. She listened to everything with a neutral expression. But when Marcus took the stand and tried to justify his actions, tried to claim he was confused and made mistakes, Judge Holloway looked at him with open disgust. Mr. Mitchell, she said coldly, you did not make mistakes. You made calculated choices for 7 years. You lied to your wife. You stole from your family. You planned your exit strategy while your wife sacrificed her career to support yours. This court does not reward that behavior. She ruled in my favor on almost everything. I got 72% of all marital assets. The house. The retirement accounts. The majority of savings. Marcus got the debt he had accumulated buying the condo and supporting Vanessa. And he got to keep his student loans. Judge Holloway also ordered him to pay child support and contribute to the kids' college funds. When Marcus's attorney protested that his client had no income, the judge said that was not her problem and perhaps Mr. Mitchell should have considered the consequences before engaging in a 7-year affair and ethics violations that cost him his career. I walked out of that courtroom feeling like I could finally breathe. It was over. The divorce was final 3 weeks later. I signed the papers in Patricia's office. My hand did not shake. Congratulations, Patricia said. You are officially free. Thank you, I said. For everything. She smiled. You did the hard part, Sarah. You had the courage to burn it all down. I just helped you sort through the ashes. I went home that day, to my house. The one I got in the divorce. The one Marcus had already moved out of. I walked through the rooms slowly, seeing them with new eyes. This was not our house anymore. It was mine. I started making changes immediately. Repainted the bedroom. Got rid of furniture that reminded me of him. Turned his office into a reading room for Emma. I went back to work at the hospital. My colleagues knew everything, of course. The scandal had spread through the medical community like wildfire. But instead of judgment, I found support. The nurses rallied around me. The doctors who used to respect Marcus now respected me more for having the courage to expose him. And I reapplied to the nurse practitioner program. The one I had turned down twice for Marcus's career. This time, I got in. 6 months after the divorce was final, I ran into Marcus at a coffee shop downtown. I almost did not recognize him. He looked diminished, small. He was sitting alone at a corner table, staring at his phone. He looked up and saw me. His face went pale. Sarah, he said, standing up quickly. Please. Can we talk? I considered walking away. But something made me stop. 2 minutes, I said. He gestured to the empty chair across from him. I sat down, keeping my distance. I am sorry, he said immediately. I know I have said it before but I am truly sorry. For everything. I destroyed our family. I destroyed my career. I destroyed everything good in my life because I was selfish and stupid and… Marcus, I said, cutting him off. Why are you telling me this? He looked at me with desperate eyes. Because I want you to know I realize what I lost. Because I do not know. Forgiveness? Another chance? I stared at him for a long moment. Then I shook my head. You do not get forgiveness, I said quietly. And you certainly do not get another chance. You had 15 years of chances. You threw them all away. I know, but… No, I said firmly. You do not get to make yourself feel better by apologizing to me. You do not get closure. You do not get to ease your guilt. You made choices, Marcus. Calculated, deliberate choices. Now you live with them. I stood up. I am not angry anymore, I said. I am not hurt anymore. I am just done. You are nothing to me now. Not my husband. Not my partner. Not even my enemy. You are just nobody. He looked like I had slapped him. I hope you figure out how to live with yourself, I said. But that is not my problem anymore. I walked out of that coffee shop and did not look back. 3 years have passed since that anniversary party. Daniel is in college now, studying engineering. He talks to Marcus occasionally, brief phone calls on holidays. Their relationship will never be what it was, but they are trying to find some kind of peace. Emma is doing better. She sees a therapist. She is thriving in school. She told me last month that she is proud of me for leaving. That I showed her what strength looks like. I finished the nurse practitioner program and got a position at a different hospital. Better pay. Better hours. Better life. I bought a small condo downtown with my divorce settlement. It has floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the river. The irony is not lost on me. I started dating last year. Nothing serious yet. But I am learning to trust again. Learning to let someone see me without fearing they are building a secret life behind my back. Marcus, from what I hear through mutual acquaintances, is working as a medical consultant for a pharmaceutical company. The irony of that is almost poetic. He lives alone in a small apartment. Vanessa never came back. His medical license was eventually reinstated but with restrictions. He will never practice surgery again. His mother Barbara reached out to me once, about a year after the divorce. She apologized for her son. Told me she did not raise him to be the kind of man who would do what he did. I know, I told her. This is not your fault. She cried on the phone. I loved you like a daughter, she said. I loved you too, I said. And I am sorry for how you found out. But I do not regret exposing the truth. She understood. We do not talk regularly, but we exchange cards on holidays. She sees the kids sometimes. Life goes on, different than we thought it would be, but still moving forward. I learned something through all of this. Something I wish I had known 15 years ago when I walked down that aisle in my grandmother's veil. Love is not enough. Trust is not a given. And sacrifice without reciprocity is not noble, it is self-destruction. I learned that I am stronger than I ever thought possible. That I can survive devastation. That I can burn down my entire life and build something better from the ashes. I learned that revenge does not have to be loud or violent. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is simply refusing to let someone steal your future along with your past. Marcus wanted to wait until Daniel turned 18 to start his real life. He saw our marriage as an obligation to fulfill before he could be free. But in the end, I was the one who got free. And I built a real life. One based on truth instead of lies. One where I come first instead of last. One where I am not waiting for someone else to decide I am worth staying for. I am enough. I always was. It just took burning down everything to realize it. So to anyone out there who is living in a marriage built on lies, who is sacrificing everything for someone who is not sacrificing anything for you, who is waiting for things to get better while your partner is planning their exit, you deserve more. You deserve truth. You deserve respect. You deserve a partner who chooses you every single day, not someone who is counting down the days until they can leave. And if they cannot give you that, then you owe it to yourself to walk away. It will hurt. It will feel like your world is ending. But I promise you, there is life on the other side. A better life. A stronger life. A real life. Thank you for walking this difficult road with me to the very end. If this story resonated with you, you can support our community by sending a super thanks. It helps me continue to bring these important stories to light. On the screen now are 2 more stories that I know will touch your soul. I will see you in the next one. Stay strong.